Hello everyone. You may not be able to see my hat against this background, but don't be fooled, I am still tessellating hexagons. And why this flag? Well, I mean, come on, you're not stupid, you lovely people. Yesterday was the selection show of Germany, and of course, being as that was yesterday, that means that today, the day after, is the day that I get to review the song that won. And wasting no time whatsoever, partly because I'm recording this in a time limit, but you don't need to worry about that. The song that was chosen is performed by Carlotta Truman and Laura Laurita Kestel, although Eurovision.tv credits her as Laurita Spinelli, but that's not what Wikipedia says. Regardless, they're a group that calls themselves Sisters, or sters, with a song called Sister. It's fully presented in English, music and lyrics by Marina Kaltenbacher, Tom Oehler, Thomas Sterngard, and Laurel Barker, my favourite person at the moment, but more about that in just a moment. Wigs will be snatched, tea will be spilled, I digress. For now, let's just dive right in on my first impressions on this song, shall we? You know, to be completely honest, I was all too ready to dislike this song right out of the gate when it came up during the German national selection, for two key reasons. One, this song was added into the national final at the last possible second, which is bad for reasons I'll explain later on in this video. And secondly, it's another Laurel Barker song, and I really don't like it when songwriters are allowed to represent multiple countries in the same year. And sure, other composers have done that before without me calling them out, apart from Thomas Gearson, who I call out every single time, but that's neither here nor there. But I suppose I'm just still a bit bitter about how the BBC messed up the UK's national final, and since Laurel Barker is one of the songwriters of the UK song, I'm kind of sort of taking that out on that whole team, but I digress. I actually ended up really kind of liking this song, and much like with the Czech entry this year, everyone and their sister actually seems to absolutely hate this song for reasons that I can't even begin to fathom, to be honest. Maybe put down your salt towards the question marks surrounding the selection show for the moment, and actually listen to the song, maybe? Just a thought. So however you may feel, allow me to show you some of its potential positive points first and foremost. Right, ordinarily I would save the most powerful point in my arsenal for last here, but I can't hold this in. This song's biggest asset, far and away, is that its message isn't just good and wholesome, it's flexible. Yes, from how Carlotta and Laurita present themselves, we're guided to interpret it as being a song about two sisters who grew up feuding, finally coming to terms with being a team, you know, you and me against the world, as opposed to competing with each other. But this song is so much more than that. They don't have to be sisters for real. This song could just as easily be a song about female empowerment, or broadly speaking, empowerment in general, though it does seem more relevant to feminism, in my opinion. You know, my opinion as a man. But yes, the message of why are we fighting each other, we're on the same team, that's just, that's good. I applaud that. We need more of that positivity in today's world. And as if that didn't make it an emotionally heavy song in the first place, bearing in mind they're giving implications of familialness, whether it's there or not, like on top of all that, it also features a prominent recurring music box riff that adds several extra layers, if I'm honest. For me, at least, the music box is a deeply emotional instrument, just out of the gate, because it carries connotations of childhood, of innocence, of purity, of defenselessness, of all your cards are out on the table, you're completely out in the open, you know, you're exposed, and also of nostalgia. And all of that just multiplies the emotional effects of what is already an emotional song. Similarly, in the live performance, towards the end, Laurita and Carlotta grab each other by the arm and sort of hold on tight, and I find that to be a moving enough image of coming together by itself, but then, in their winner's reprise, they were so overcome by the emotions of their song and the emotions of winning that turned into just straight up hugging each other, pulling them in to like a bear hug, like, yes, we are a team, we are one, after all. And that really moved me. Whatever they do on stage in Tel Aviv, it's absolutely going to create a moment, and it's really going to help sell the story of the song. Bravissima there to both of them. Also, on a much more personal note, about 2 minutes into the song, the instrumentation really sort of builds up into one heck of an emotional climax, and their vocals, their backing vocals, and the swelling instrumentation put all of those together, and that, dear friends, is how you do a climactic finish in 2019. It could so easily have been a victory key change like in the UK's song, but it isn't. This proves that you don't need that. It's better than that, and it works. And it works without coming across as dated and cliche in how it goes about doing that. So, nicely done there. This song it's got a lot going for it, so well done for picking it, Germany. Right, so, okay, I'm sold on the song for one, but that doesn't mean that you have to be, and I will fully admit and own that and accept that and whatever. Now, legitimate reasons you may have for not liking this song, as opposed to just being salty at the national final. Okay then, let's start with the message that I praised so heavily just now. If you take the song at face value, and only at face value, then it does lose a lot of its potential impact. If you don't read into it, if you miss the feminist subtext, if you just view it as it's just a story, then it's not going to affect you anywhere near as much as it could. You might well sit back and exclaim, "They aren't even sisters!" And you wouldn't be wrong, and then you'd end up glossing over the song entirely. True, if you're going for subtext, you can't just spell out the higher meaning, or that higher meaning loses its whole potency because you're just telling people that it's there. You might as well just be saying to their face, "Teamwork is good!" And that's true, but if you do it through subtext, then it's more powerful, is what I'm saying. Regardless, some people are going to miss that and just take it at face value, and that's a bit of a shame. Secondly, as the winner's reprise demonstrated, the two of them do seem to get a little bit too emotional at times, and a little emotion obviously would really help to sell this song, as I said, with the hug, with the arm grab. But obviously everything in moderation. In their winner's reprise, it really interfered with the quality of their performance. Shaky notes, missed cues, all the signs were there. At Eurovision, they are going to need to keep a much tighter hold on their feelings in order to not let the song slip away from them. But when competing in Unser Lied für Israel, they sounded fine, so this really shouldn't be too big of a deal for them. We'll see. And one last thing. Okay, this isn't the song's fault by itself, but it is something that happened that may lower the song in your personal estimation. It may bleed out into your experience of it, and it will affect your experience of the song. Just the song's presence in the selection show in the first place could be viewed as, let's go with illegitimate. I'll explain a bit more in just a moment, but you might well have something of a bitter taste left in your mouth over this song winning the selection show after being added into it at the last possible moment. It raises unfortunate questions about the selection format, whether they're right to do so or not. And I do want to stress that that is not the fault of Carlotta and Lorita. You really should not hold it against them. They just so happen to be on the front line in response to people who might be feeling this way. But as you can tell by their reactions to winning, they weren't expecting to win, so I really don't think that if there were underhanded dealings, which we can't even prove, if that did happen, they were not in on it, so please don't blame them for any negative feelings you may have. Please. Right, speaking of things that I have to append the words "please don't hate" to, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm very much inclined to give this song a 10 out of 10. I really wasn't expecting to like this song anywhere near as much as I do, but it ended up being my second favourite in the entire selection show, behind only the song that I affectionately nicknamed the Trash Song. You know which one I'm talking about if you watched the show. I truly do believe in what they're singing, not in the literal sense of them being actual blood sisters, because, I mean, they're not, and that's fairly obvious, but I suppose you could read something into how one of them's really fair, one of them's really dark. That might have some symbolism, I don't know. But anyway, because of their interpretation of it being, you know, hello there, fellow human person, we're only fighting with each other because society says we should compete for people's approbation, but really, we should be helping each other, so I choose love instead. Some part of that really resonates with me and my otherwise cold, dead and unfeeling soul. Nice one, Germany. You made me feel. As for the technical side of things, I mean, as I said earlier, wigs are going to be snatched when I spill this tea, or whatever it is the cool kids say. But honestly, I give this one a technical 9. It's deeply meaningful, it hits all the right points to make the emotional impact that it's going for, and it comes across pretty much flawlessly in the live performance, the winner's reprise notwithstanding. My only point of hesitation that keeps it from being a perfect 10 is that concern of their ability to not let the excitement get the best of them. Bless them, Lalita and Carlotta are so genuinely likable and genuinely believable, and they're so purely enthusiastic that I can't help but be happy for them. I don't think they were expecting to win the selection show judging by their reactions, and even now, some people really don't appreciate the tighter nuances of this song, which may be why my judgment here will have some discrepancies compared to how some other websites might be judging this song, but I mean, I found the nuances that I was praising the song for, so I think, in my opinion, they do merit a good technical score. When I look at it as a juror, I found these nuances that I approve of that work on a technical level, so, I mean, what are you gonna do? Now, though, let's not waste any time here. People are expecting me to drag the national final, and I intend to, but Germany is still in a good place overall when you put this year in perspective with last year and then compare those 2 years to the year before. Germany's in a good place in terms of song choice, in terms of budgeting, in terms of showmanship. I really can't complain about the production and contents of the national final, and, unlike last year, there was something good to be found in every single song of the selection with no exceptions. For those reasons, this little guy down here would be a dark green Germany's doing really well for themselves kind of arrow, were it not for the questions raised by this song winning. First of all the participants had to go through a professional songwriting camp from which a hard 6 finalists would be selected for the final show. That much the German broadcaster assured us of, that was written into the rules, that was hard and fast and final. And then this song was thrown in out of nowhere as a 7th competitor for reasons that were never explained. Secondly, the rotating square table gimmick that this song used in its performance was specifically built into the stage, as opposed to being a completely separate prop, which is a little bit suspect if you think about it. And third, the Austrian juror in the international jury was a higher up at Universal Music, who you may or may not know kind of owns the rights to distributing the Eurovision albums, amongst other things. And it just so happened that the song that he gave his 12 points to, this one, ended up not only winning the jury vote, but the entire thing when all was said and done. I'm absolutely not casting aspersions, I'm not making accusations of anyone rigging the results or anything like that. I'm just saying, whether rightly or wrongly, it raises problematic questions is all. The show was a top-notch production. It was just marred by those questions that make us, the audience, have doubts. That's all. Meanwhile, though, on a much lighter, cheerier note, would this song qualify from the semi-finals if it had to? Personally, I would say that if everyone was behaving rationally and normally, then yes, this would easily sneak into the final if Germany had to qualify, which they don't, as we're all very aware. Under ordinary circumstances, this is the sort of song that people would appreciate enough to vote for it. Not enough to win Eurovision outright, but at least for it to get a semi-decent placing when all's said and done. And the only reason why I'm speaking so hypothetically here is because of all the random hate I've seen for it. And that hate, much like with the Czech Republic, strikes me as completely illogical and random, as far as I can see, and I've been doing this for years now. There's no reason for it. It just seems like the universe picked an act at random and decided everybody hates it because I, the universe, says so, despite it not really doing anything to merit that response. Then again, the day after the national final, people seem to have calmed down a little bit, so who knows? And on that note, what do you think? Yes, you lovely person watching this video. Do you like this song? Are you one of those knee-jerk haters? I'm trying to lift my knee up into the frame. Are you one of those knee-jerk haters? Do you feel somewhere in the middle? Do you dislike it for an actual reason? Are you just salty? I want to know genuinely what your thoughts are. I would love to have a conversation. If there's something that I've missed with the song, please explain it to me. I want to hear what you think. Your opinions are valid. I ranted enough though, so for the time being, Germany, sisters, S exclamation mark sters, the German delegation, I do wish you the very best of luck when you hit the stage in Tel Aviv, and I'm hoping that all of these questions that were raised about the national final end up being not what we think they are. I'm hoping things were all above board. But, I mean, we'll have to see. For the time being, see you in May, and best of luck for then.